today we're looking at two demos. Each is going to show you a different way to implement GenAI based on your needs. So in the first one, we're going to deploy an inference engine using Ollama, where you can run your own large language models. That's very simple to do. It's just a one-click install. I'll just show you in a minute. That's the first demo. For all the developers who are joining us, let me know in the chat. We will be doing the second demo, which is creating a custom Python integration using relaxAI. So I have sort of like a real world project set up, deployed on Kubernetes, on Civo, and we have integrated GenAI in that. So I'm excited to show you what I have in store. Why would you want to do all of these things? Because as Josh mentioned, all the challenges and all the news that we've been seeing recently, controlling your own model means, well, obviously you have more control, lowers costs, you get the freedom to build AI that fits your exact use case. Without wasting any further time, let me just go and do the demo number one. I hope you all can see my screen. The slide is moving fine. Cool. So what are we doing? We are going to see how to deploy your own LLM, like I mentioned, model inference engine using Ollama on Civo. We will be using Terraform, so it's very simple if you haven't used it before. Just one click Terraform apply, and it's going to spin up all the resources in my cloud infrastructure. If you are new to this space, by the way, and you don't know what inference means, I'm throwing all these buzzwords around. We're just talking about the process of using a trained AI model to generate results. So for example, when you send a prompt to like a chatbot, it gives you some answer. That's just what inference is. You're not training the model, but you're just running it to get predictions or any text output. So we will be setting up on our own that on Civo. But yeah, so this is ideal for, yeah.
Just to clarify, so what we're going to be showing here is in demo one, how to stand up and run your own private LLM. Like there's people who are asking about this. How can I do this? And then later you're going to show how to integrate with Civo's LLM to, for something else that's a little easier. So it's kind of both. You're going to see standing up and running an LLM. It's complicated, it's messy, except Kunal's about to make it very easy for everyone. And then if you want the even one step simpler where you're using our hosted LLM, you'll see that shortly. But keep going, Kunal, this is great.
Yeah, so I'll show you that, and then I'll also show you our own, GenAI offering if you want to use that. Some people don't like, a good point mentioned by Kendall. This one does require some skills. So we are going to be I'm going to be showing demos for basically, whatever background you come from. We'll share some resources in the end as well for people who don't even know how to code. So we'll just share some links and you can play around with that. But this is ideal for like AI developers, MLOps teams. And what we're going to do is set up the H100 GPU instance. We will install and configure Ollama on it, set up systemd for reliability, and a bunch of other things. People who are new, who will be like, okay, Kunal, what even is Ollama? I don't know what Ollama is. I won't spend too much time on this, but it's open source. It's a lightweight, fast runtime for large language models. You can think of it like, everyone knows if you're using ChatGPT, think of it like a local ChatGPT engine that you can run on your own machine. In our case, we are running it on a GPU-powered cloud instance. Or we have the relaxAI offering, but now you're running it, on your own or in cloud, but you are the one who is controlling the models. So very simple to use using Ollama. It's actually, you can go to the GitHub repository here. They have some nice guides and a lot of other things. Very simple to use, but powerful under the hood. You basically choose a model, you start the server, and just start making API calls. This is the GitHub repository I want everyone to check out. This is the demo. And also after the webinar, if you want to do what I'm doing, then this is the repository. Because it's a little complex under the hood, it just abstracts away all of that complexity, puts Terraform to manage the infrastructure. We put Terraform, and to you, it just looks like one command, but it's all abstracted nicely for you. So what is happening? We have the Civo GPU instance. That's our machine in the cloud. On that machine, Ollama is going to run as a background service, like a model server. You load a model, like you can do Llama 3 or whatever Ollama supports. That is also something you can find on the Ollama website, all the models that it supports. And then it's just ready to serve all the responses really fast. Now you'll be asking, okay, this is fine, but how do I make it do real things? I want to make a chatbot. I want to make like AI in my own online application. Let's say it's a university website, it's a online shop. I need to make AI in that. So you just expose the REST API endpoint and you can basically connect it to anything, which is also something I'll be showing you. Connect it to your chatbot, your dev tools, anything that can send an HTTP request, just connect it with that. But that's essentially it. This is demo 1, and let's take a look at it. You would want to use this if you want more control, privacy, without being vendor locked in as such with your models, because let's say you're building something with very sensitive data that shouldn't leave the infra. You need you want to experiment with different open models very quickly without jumping through API hoops and whatnot. So I'm going to stop that and I'm going to just show you how that happens. So this is the GitHub repository. The URL you can see over here, github.com/, oh, it's also, by the way, in the very bottom. So what we need to do is, as I mentioned already, what all things it will be installing, H100 GPUs and whatnot, accessing via REST API. To set this up, to make it running, what we need to do is you need to get your API key. So this is your Civo token. If I just go to civo.com, I won't show you my API key for obvious reasons, but if you go to your settings, your profile, your security, here you can find your API key. So you need that, and you need to add this in the terraform.tf-vars file, which is a file over here. It's not over here, so you have to create it. If it's not available, yeah, it's not available, so you just create this file and just add this one line, and that is it. That's all you need to do. That is literally it. Then you just run Terraform and it's gonna work. Obviously we're using Civo, so make sure you have the necessary quota, permissions and whatnot. This is what I ran earlier, but I can just, if I run it again, as we can see, let me just make it look prettier for you. So just 3 commands. If you're new to Terraform, you just do Terraform init, initialize, Terraform plan. This will basically show me what it's going to create. So it's going to show me, it's going to create a firewall and my my instance, so a Civo instance. And you just do Terraform apply, and this should take like 5-10 minutes or something. But I already have it running for you. So once it is completed, I'm not going to make you wait 10 minutes, but you can see once it's like completed, you can see that, okay, 2 resources were created, my firewall and my online instance. I can obviously see that in the Civo dashboard as well. If I go to my Civo dashboard again, go to my compute, here you can see the Ollama instances available. How do we...
Can you zoom in just a little on that, Kunal, so we can see it just a little clearer? Yeah, that's great.
I will zoom in.
Thanks.
So that was literally it, just one command. And now how do we talk to this? So we mentioned that, okay, it's like an API sort of interface. You can make a call. So let me first give you like a very basic sort of like example. And then we will basically look at a UI, a graphical interface as well to make it look more pretty. So you just make a curl request to this public IP. And let's say you can see over here, this is one that was already running. I just say hello world, and it's saying, hey, it's nice to meet you. Is there something I can help you with and whatnot? This is running on Civo. We are able to chat with it, and you can plug this API endpoint to your own chatbot, your own application and whatnot, and you can do a bunch of stuff, which is exactly what I'll be doing in the next demo. And keep the questions coming. You will get the offline video. So yeah, keep the questions coming and we will answer all the questions in the end. Now, let's say you don't want to, yeah, go ahead.
So wait, Kunal, before you move on, I want to clarify a couple things. So what you just did was you've created a GitHub repository that already has the Terraform needed to go stand up your own Ollama on Civo, and it'll do the whole thing for you with basically one command because you've built that in there already. So if you want to go kick the tires with your own LLM, Kunal has made that a one-line command in Civo, and that'll be up and running with an API that you can hit yourself, and it's going to be running on Civo. Which one of the questions was, how's that different from running on my local machine? It's going to be much faster with cloud capable GPUs behind them. You can host your own machines, but you're not going to do that for a real publicly available product, right? You want to do that to mess around, that's great. Do it on your own machine. It's okay if it's slow. If you want to actually build something, you're going to want to run it with something with more compute power, like in Civo's cloud. So that's Kunal making it very, very easy to go from nothing to self-hosted Llama in the cloud. Keep going, Kunal. Yep. That's great.
Cool. Someone is asking, how is it different than Roo code? You use Roo code if you're building with a visual interface, like a no-code tool. There are plenty out there. We have some examples as well that we'll be showing you in the end, but thanks for bringing that up. Some people, they don't want to do this. They just want an API endpoint, and they want to plug it into their Python application, their JavaScript application, and whatnot. So that's what the demo 2 is about. We will be looking. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I keep interrupting. I'm making this real hard for you, Kunal. The reason you don't want to have to host your own models is what happens when there's a new version of that Llama that comes out that you need to lifecycle? Do you have the capability to go lifecycle that? Can you manage the downtime while you're lifecycling that? How are you managing auditing who's had access to it, who hasn't, et cetera? Those are all the reasons why hosting your own Llama is more complicated, and using something like Relax, where it's Josh's job to make sure that that model is up to date, to make sure that that model is up and running, to make sure that we life cycle that without notable downtime. There's a lot to keeping this up and going. If you're going to build a production application that you're going to build on top of an LLM, just go use something that's self-hosted, or that's a managed service like relaxAI. And sorry, keep going.
No, I agree. I mean, Ollama is great if you're running it on your own infra or whatever, but you still need that setup. You need GPUs, you need some DevOps knowledge and whatnot. Even though there's a Terraform whole project that I showed you, you still need some sort of a knowledge if you want to update something or whatnot. relaxAI, like you mentioned, if you just want, let's say I just want a clean API and I can just call it from any application. And it's hosted on Civo, so your data stays private. The data sovereignty aspect of relaxAI, very fast, scalable, maintained for you. So perfect for, if you're a team who just wants the AI features, but you don't want the hassle of running the models themselves. Let me actually show you how that works. What is this demo? So we are going to take a look at how we can use relaxAI to build custom AI features directly into your applications. So this is compliant with the OpenAI API as well. Why is that important? If you're already using OpenAI, not much changes are required. The only change is the relaxAI API key and the base URL. So the base URL you have to change, and the relaxAI API key. Like I said in the beginning, chatbots are nice, but sometimes you just want AI as a feature inside your product. So let's see how that works. What is the application that we're going to be using today? We have a Flask-based e-commerce application. Let me just show you that first. There you go. So this is, hopefully you can see my Megamart portal. So this is as close as I can get for the demo purpose, mimicking a real world behavior. So this is actually a real nice application running on Civo Kubernetes. As you can see, there's a public URL. Quickly, I'll share in simple terms what we're doing here. Application is a Flask-based e-commerce application. Database is the Postgres database hosted on Civo. Let me just show you that as well. And just so you know, it's not like some basic stuff I'm running on my local host. So database, that's the one that I'm using, the Postgres database. Then I set up just set up traffic as the ingress controller. push the image. We have Kubernetes secrets. Actually, let me just show you the code sample here. Kubernetes,
so what you're talking about, Kunal, is
service. Yeah.
You're talking about all the infrastructure required to make this an actual working, functioning application, and you've got that all spun up in Civo so that all the dots connect.
Yeah.
Most of the people attending this are probably technical enough to understand. Just for the few that aren't, that's what Kunal's explaining. Keep going.
Yeah. If you have no question is a bad question. So if you have even basic questions, you can ask. But I just then created some secrets deployed using the load balancer service, which is why I get I have that public IP. Application features are pretty decent. This is all I made myself for the whole thing. So what you can do is you can actually, let's say this is trying to mimic a order management and tracking platform for vendors. So for example, you can check all your orders here. So Emily has ordered this and this and this, and you can change the status of the order, shipped, and it's going to change that total revenue. You can see what all products are in your inventory over here as well. I won't spend too much time on this, but just to give you a bit of background, you can sort it. You can filter according to the name and prices. You can add in a new order. So Kunal Kushwaha, kunal@gmail.com. I don't have that email, but wish I did. Some random phone number. Covent Garden, London, UK. This is all running on the Civo infrastructure. So there's a backend connected to it. It's not just like here and there. Oh, actually, I didn't. I have to add in some orders as well. Right, let me just do that again. Kunal Kushwaha, kunal@gmail.com. Some random stuff, and I'll just say London, UK, Covent Garden, whatnot. Sure, no problem. Place order. So you can see order placed successfully. Gives you a bunch of information back home. You can actually see the orders in your admin console. Kunal has just done this, but this is not what I want to show you. Everyone has such websites, but now the real thing is, how do we implement AI in it? So I'll show you the code base, but let me first show you how it actually works. So this is my AI assistant. This is powered by relaxAI. The database that I have over here. Let me it's actually over here. Yeah, there we go. So this is deployed on Kubernetes. Here, this is my e-commerce cluster. It's connected to this database, and relaxAI is making call to these databases. I'll show you the code sample. I'm actually happy to also share the code sample later, but you can just ask a question like how many total orders I have, and it will give you answer. So you have 101 orders. Which country has the most orders? So this is all relaxAI working in the backend. I'll show you the code in just a minute, but here you can see these are the countries and whatnot. Colombia, 3 orders. And you can ask it a bunch of information and a lot of other things. You can ask it like specific stuff as well, like, what did Kunal order? And Kunal ordered this Garmin and this thermostat or whatnot. And you can ask it. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but if there's a prompt you want me to run in this chatbot, let me know in the comment. But this is essentially the code. Oh, sorry, code sample. This is just front end stuff. I won't show you that. It's pretty basic. What I do want to show you is where I'm using the model.
Can you zoom in on this just a little bit, Kunal, to show too?
Yes. Yeah.
When you find it, yeah.
So there we go. So this, as you can see, the main thing that I want to show you is, there are 2 things I want to show you. Sorry if I'm moving my stuff around. I want to show you relaxAI documentation, and I want to show you OpenAI pip. So the OpenAI Python library, the relaxAI is fully compliant with this. Let's say you want to do just like a chat, you want to do some images or whatnot, exactly the similar code, and you can just use that. Here you can see, let me just put this over here. Yeah, here you can see I have put the Llama 4 Scout model, and I'm using the OpenAI chat completion. After that, I just give it this prompt, like, you are a helpful assistant for this portal, and I give it the content, which is basically the user input that I am adding in. So user input that I just added in on my, in the text. It's just taking that and passing it with the API, and that's it. This is just a simple Flask application, but it has a lot of moving components. So just I could mimic, how people can implement things like these in the real world. But this is exactly like, the OpenAI API that you're using. Other than that, someone was asking about other integrations. So yeah, there's Flowise AI. You can use the integration for that with relaxAI. All the information can be found over here. OpenHands, which is a platform designed to tackle, software development tasks. There's the Llama Index. There's LangChain, quite popular. Flowise AI. If you have, let's say, another good example is you have a bunch of applications. You have your Gmail, you have your Slack, you have your Google Calendar. You want to make an AI chatbot, like whenever someone buys something from your website, it should automatically send them a WhatsApp message and automatically update the status in your Google Sheets URL or your sheet or whatever. So for that, you can use something like N8N. So it's like a click and drag workflow and pretty simple stuff. So we have a lot of integrations available. You can check out the documentation, but that was essentially what I wanted to show you. Yeah.
So let me just summarize here. So the reason this matters is the vast majority of people are not going and building just another LLM to compete directly with OpenAI, right? Like if you want to build an LLM application or an AI powered application, what you're probably going to do is have some kind of application that already exists. In Kunal's example, it's this Megamart, which I love the name. It's an e-commerce platform, and he's decided to integrate AI into Megamart in a, let's say what's a useful way to do this. And for his example, it's a person who works at Megamart on the back end being able to interact with the database and understand the data that's come through. So this is a common use case. Every company out there is trying to implement AI, right? And they're not just going and building another chatbot. What they're doing is trying to add AI into their application in some kind of meaningful way. And so what we're showing here is how to use relaxAI, which is private, secure, handled by Civo to not have the kinds of data breaches, risks, etc., that you're seeing with ChatGPT, implemented with ease on Civo's platform, leveraging Civo's database, leveraging, all these pieces just work together because it's built into the cloud, because it's an offering Civo's making. So if you're a decision maker at a company wondering how are you going to integrate an LLM into an application that you already have, that's what Kunal's showing. And showing off the integrations, I think, is a significant part of that. That's part of why Kunal's showing that, is we have built integrations into Relax, a significant number of them, to make development on top of relaxAI very, very smooth and easy. And sorry, Kunal, go ahead.
No, I agree. And there's already a lot of resources out there. I shared the relaxAI docs as well. But only thing you need to change, in OpenAI, you do /v1/chat/completions. You change that with the relaxAI URL. AI API is very simple and familiar. And for people who are asking, yes, this was making the call to my database and giving me answers in real time. So it was exactly the same. Like I had this project, and then I just integrated the OpenAI pip library, and they had a bunch of good documentation, how to do chat completions and whatnot. Literally just one function, and it's literally just that one function, and that's it. Rest everything is whatever. Now you can do a bunch of stuff with it. Check out, I would say, the next step in the relaxAI page. I would say you check out the integrations page. So you find what works best for you, what's your use case, and then what sort of integrations you would like to work with.